CURES is sponsored by Wheeler Health's Better Choice program. More at wheelerhealth.org.
Helping you lead a healthier life. This is CURES.
We are in the midst of what experts are calling a loneliness epidemic among adults, and friendships certainly can feel harder to form and maintain as adults. Thanks for being here for the CURES show, where we explore cutting-edge wellness from credible sources. I'm Kara Sundlin. Dr. Laura Saunders is a psychologist at Hartford Healthcare's Institute of Living, and she's joining us to talk more about this. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Saunders.
Thank you, Kara.
So many people are listening to Mel Robbins, the podcast, and the new book that's taking over, Let Them theory, that really, teaches us to focus on what we can and cannot control and not wasting our energy so we can kind of reclaim our happiness. And Mel Robbins has talked a lot about friendship and feeling excluded even as an adult. I mean, that feeling doesn't go away. But is it just harder to make good friends as adults?
So there's a couple different parts to this. Yes is the direct answer to that question. It is harder to make friends as adults. But I really like Mel Robbins, and I really like what she has to say. And I think there's some misunderstanding of what her theory means, because or what her kind of philosophy means, because it's not just let them. It's not like let people run all over you.
Yeah.
It's actually let them, which is make active decisions, what you do and do not have control over. Mm-hmm. And the things that you don't have control over, you need to let them go, let it go, and not just allow yourself to be run over, but to really let things go that are not within your control. It offers a mindset and a set of tools to kind of reclaim your happiness and not over personalize things that are not in your control and that you need to just let go.
Yeah. I mean, and how do you think that applies to friendships? I know she dives into this, but how can we apply the let them theory to our adult friendships?
So she compiles some of the research, and a lot of this research was done in the area of social psychology around, what constitutes or what helps facilitate friendships. So there's three core pillars to adult friendship in particular, and I know we're going to talk about these.
Yeah, we can put them up right now. Yeah, proximity, timing, and energy.
Yes, it does explain why friendships can form and then fizzle out in adulthood. And honestly, I've seen this play out in my own life over the past 25, 30 years, about what friendships seem to endure and which ones sort of have their time and then kind of fade away.
Yeah, so basically, this is interesting research. There's actually a number of hours that is needed to create a deep friendship. 70 hours to consider someone a casual friend, 200 hours for a close friend. So that's harder to get as an adult.
It's a lot harder to get, right? If you even think about 70 hours, that's 70 hours of time with someone to even just consider them a casual friend, and 200 hours logged together in doing things to consider someone a close friend. So that's a lot of time and energy into developing friendships. So, we have acquaintances, people that we sort of run into, but even a casual friend, someone you might want to call or do something with, or see it at an event and spend some time talking to, that would be more casual as opposed to a close friend. And close friends are the individuals that we feel very connected to, that we can rely upon, that we share our emotional burdens with. And we all need at least one or two close friends in our lives.
Okay, and so let's talk about how one of the things that Mel Robbins talks about with let them, and you're right, she does go a little deeper into this. I've read the book of it. It doesn't just like let them walk all over you, but then the next thing is let me, what can I do? So when all of a sudden someone leaves your life, and this is sort of on the topic of friendship, if an adult friendship that you feel badly, like, why did this person leave my life? It might be a time to say let them, because maybe you're just not on the same page anymore. You're not interested in the same things, and that's maybe a natural phase of friendship where you have to let people go.
Yeah, there's there's an expression, this is not from Mel Robbins, but like that friends are for a season or friends are for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. And that season can be a phase of life. that you are friends with a lot of other parents who have kids the same age as yours, and you're in elementary school together, right? There's a season, that's sort of the season, and there's a reason, like that this person's connected to me through work, or this person's connected to me through extended family, and that friendships can have seasons and reasons, and that it's not always personal, and it's okay. You don't have to like break up a friendship unless it's really toxic, but that you can sort of allow things to take its natural course. If you really like someone, you can try to draw them back in, but to recognize and acknowledge that there's a season and a reason.
Some people are really taking charge of their health, right? There's a big movement now where a lot of people aren't drinking anymore and they're focusing on fitness. Do you see that as a reason why sometimes friendships are separating? And is that an okay reason?
So that gets to sort of the energy part of the 3 pillars of adult friendship, right? It's the alignment of your values, your interests, kind of your overall connectivity. And it's common as we go through different phases of life, right, that you develop different interests. Some people are into book clubs. Some people are into, pickleball's a huge craze. Some people are into, I know about someone who does like a crochet club at a brewery, right? There's different things that create a sense of connection. So that's like your energy is matching someone. You're into crochet, I'm into crochet. We meet at the brewery to crochet on Wednesday nights. Or whatever it is that energy is matching. And so that friendship will thrive with that connected time, and that's the matching of your energy.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about some of my closest friends in my life, they really are high school and college, because I guess we spent so much time together. So it's harder as an adult. And so if you're someone who yearns for those deeper friendships, what do you do you're not going to be spending all that kind of time together?
Well, you have to look around and look at the other pillars, right? So one of the pillars is proximity. It really is looking at the people around you. So there's a lot of research on who develops friendships, especially in college. And it's so often the person that lives on your same floor or in your same dorm, or, perhaps even in your same, if you do a fraternity or sorority. So it's that proximity. We are closely, literally in proximity to each other. So therefore we interact more. Therefore we take the time and energy to find out what we have in common, or have some shared jokes or mutual experiences, or, shared times together. So it's that proximity that's really critical. So if you're an adult and you're feeling kind of disconnected, for any number of different reasons, you start to look at who's around you, who's your neighbor, who's someone that sits near you at work that you always thought was kind of intriguing, and maybe you just didn't make an effort to connect with that person. So really look at the proximity of the people around you, because those are often the people that, because you have more connection, like literal connection with them in terms of time and space, they're the people most likely to become connected to you as a friend.
So, and timing as the second pillar, but being in similar stages of our lives, like we'll often have our mom friends. You and I met at the dance studio. And we also, I guess, have the media in common. You've always been so good to come on Channel 3 a lot, but learning, we can become better friends with people because they're in similar life stages, where I guess when we were young, we were always in the same life stage.
Well, I mean, even from what you shared, right? You're friends with people from high school and college, right? That timing was you were in high school together, or you were in college together, and you probably also, live near each other, or were in the same sorority. So it's that timing that's really important, because you're in similar developmental milestones, and that, again, that could be because your kids are in similar milestones, or you're in a similar milestone. When people retire and they develop some retirement interests, you're in a similar developmental stage. So I'm retired, I have more time. So therefore I'm, looking to do more activities. And now I'm meeting someone in that activity. So the more that you do that, that's the timing piece. And it really is critical, because if people are in totally different phases of life, right? If you're friends with someone who has elementary school age children and you have college age children, it just feels disconnected. It's harder to relate. So the timing actually does make a difference in that connection.
Okay, so and it's also energy. And energy, I know Mel Robbins talks a lot about energy, but this is more than just, it's not necessarily airy-fairy of woohoo energy, but the energy of the idea that what clicks, like you just feel good between each other. And that if that doesn't work anymore, that can also be a reason why maybe the friendship fizzles.
Yes, and energy has a couple different parts to it, in terms of, yeah, sometimes it's like that connection. You just meet someone, you go, I really like that person, or I felt very comfortable with that person, or we really had a lot to talk about and a lot in common. And I'm just really talking from a friendship perspective. And then you find it, oh, well, that you have other things in common. I had a connection one time with someone, and it was the mom of one of my daughter's friends that I had just met. And I realized that we grew up in the same towns next to each other in New Jersey. And we go to the same, Jersey Shore town where we vacation. We had children that were the same, kind of at the same level of schooling. So it's like, boom. And you just like, I sat and talked with this person for an hour, and I had just met them. And it just was such an easy conversation, again, because we had some of these other pillars in common. So the more times these things happen, you realize that energy is so important, because then it makes you have a favorable impression of that person. Oh, I'd really like to connect with them again. We had such a good time together. If that energy is off, so that person, you used to go to wine tastings with someone, and now they've stopped drinking, and now it's kind of disconnected. Sometimes, we're in such a divisive time right now. Different political beliefs can change the energy of a connection and make things feel off. So it's, if one of the pillars is missing, it may mean that the friendship changes or takes a different shape, or sometimes kind of fades away and ends.
I want to bring this up. You've talked about this before, but a lot of us who are married might be thinking, gosh, I spend the most time with my spouse. And if you're lucky, and I consider myself lucky, then that my husband is a really good friend of mine. So is it okay to make your best friend your spouse, or do we need to be more balanced than that?
I do think it's certainly okay. I mean, you want your spouse or your partner to be someone you can talk to and turn to in difficult times, and to give you really honest feedback, and to really have that sense of safety and connection. What I also emphasize is that you don't want your spouse to be your only friend. You don't want them to be your sole means of support, that you do want to diversify, because it puts too much pressure on a relationship. I mean, if you like to golf, or if you like to knit, or if you like to go to wine tastings, or you want to join a book club, that you do things outside of your primary relationship, so that you have other people that can also support you and build you up. It really is about the connectivity that we build in our lives that gives us that strength, and not putting all our eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Yeah, so what do you suggest if you're someone out there going, gosh, I mean, the other thing is I work a lot. I know you work a lot. I'm really lucky that I have good friends at work. That, if you're thinking, I got home, and Mel Robbins talks about this, right? She's like, all the other people I want to be friends with are also under their covers. So if you're just like, I want friends, I should do this, but I'm tired, right? But managing the kids or going to work, and you just don't know how to get out there. Is it important for our wellness to make these adult friendships? And how do we go about that if you're thinking that area in your life is lacking a little?
So it's not only just important for our wellness, to bring in one of my other favorite topics, which is talking about the longevity research. What the longevity research says, right? How long we live, and the quality, in the physical and mental health of our lives, in our longevity. What the longevity research says is the number one factor in longevity is not smoking or not drinking and not doing some of those things. It is social connectedness. It's feeling like we have a purpose outside of ourselves. So this is not just for for kicks. Having a sense of connectivity outside of ourselves, friendships, interests, looking at people around us, neighbors, having this is actually what improves our mental health and our physical health, and builds on our ability to live a long and happy and healthy life. So it is critical. It is hard in adulthood. you retire and then you think as a couple, we're going to move to another state and we'll just, make friends there. But it really is hard to do that without a lot of active effort. So it's not just going to happen as easily it happened in school or in college or even, early on in your life. Forming adult friendships takes active work and an active effort.
Right. A lot of people might be saying, oh, we're finally retiring. We get to move to Florida or wherever it's sunny. But if you're not in those kids groups or you're not in those PTO groups or you're not going to the soccer games, then you're going to have to make something that gets out. I know my mother-in-law has been playing a lot of mahjong, but, getting something.
You have to have some interest, right? Because then it creates back to these pillars, right? In that example, right? You're living in a community. If you're living in a community, not everyone does that. If you're living in a community, you have some proximity. So who are the people around you that you connect with? What's the timing? You're in similar stages of life. Okay, you're retired, I'm retired. We have more time to do things together. And what are your interests? What do you like to do? Oh, I love to go to wine tasting. Oh, I want to play mahjong. Oh, I want to learn pickleball. I want to learn to knit or crochet. Whatever it is, it's that sense of connectivity. So it really is. I love these three pillars, and I've used this in a variety of different circumstances because I do think it's so important, but it doesn't just fall upon you. You have to make active efforts to create, form, and build friendships.
Okay. So if we want to get out there, now we know it's important. Let me talk about work for a second. I'm lucky. Scott and I have hosted shows together for years. We're actually really good friends. And I know in a business where people think TV's all backstabbing, we're lucky that we have a good relationship. And I have other friends here too. Is it okay to make a lot of your friends your work friends, or is that not a good idea from the eyes of a psychologist?
I think it's a great idea because that's it. It's proximity, it's timing, and it's energy. It's all three of those things. Some of my very close friends are here at work too. I joke all the time that my closest friends here at work are half my age because we're together all the time. We have similar interests. We laugh at the same things together, and it rejuvenates me. I think I provide a little wisdom for them, but I think that's pretty common, and that gets me on another diatribe, which is the reason why young people are not making friendships in the same way they did when we were younger is because of all this remote work. So you're not working in an office. You're not going to a happy hour. You're not having, celebrating someone's birthday at lunchtime. You're not doing all those things that create that connection at work that you and I had, where we have all this connectivity because we have this time and the energy together. But all these young people who are working remotely do not have that. And I've talked to, my nieces and my nephews and their girlfriends and my own kids about, finding a work environment where you actually have to go in is what creates that connection and that sense of belonging.
Yeah, that culture too. I mean, even if it's a couple days a week, I know it's rare that we're here all the time. We don't have any remote work here, but that's probably becoming more and more rare, but some sort of a balance. I want to take a moment, hear from one of our sponsors, and we're going to come back and talk about some more adult friendship tips, and including how can you be friends with someone who's of the opposite sex? What do you think about that? But let's hear from our sponsor.
Struggling with gambling? Wheeler Health's Better Choice program offers personalized support and treatment to help you regain control. Visit WheelerHealth.org to learn more and take the first step towards recovery today.
All right, we're back with Dr. Laura Saunders. We're talking about the pillars of adult friendship. We've got proximity, timing, and energy. It's so important for our longevity and for our interest and for a full life to have friends. But we know it can be harder as an adult. So, Dr. Laura Saunders, I'm also wondering, can you be friends with someone really close of the opposite sex if there's no romantic involvement? People always wonder, can that happen?
I think it can. You have to have a sense of maturity and a sense of boundaries. And what spouses need to know is that there's nothing exclusive, right? So there's no reason why I can't invite my male colleague over, another female colleague over to dinner, or we all meet out somewhere and meet up together. So it's of course we can. If you're mature in how you handle things, you communicate with your friend or your spouse about what your intentions are, and you have a sense of boundaries. what you don't want is to develop an exclusive friendship that you now are excluding your spouse from, because then that creates distrust and a lot of miscommunication.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, we're adults. We can do that.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. That can always, I know my daughter, who's a teenager, will talk about that, like, oh, you can't really be friends with a guy, or whatever, because there's always something. But maybe as adults we can. Let's bring it out to the age factor, too. Is it different for us? We can be friends with people of all ages, both genders. We get a little different level of maturity as we get older.
Yeah, I mean, I think that gets to the timing aspect of this, right? You can have people that are in different stages. And again, developmentally, a 20-year-old and 30-year-old, those 10 years is vastly different developmentally than it is for a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old, or 50-year-old and 60-year-old. I mean, because you can easily be in more similar stages. So, really looking at the timing of it all. But I do think it's fine. I mean, I love hanging out with my friends at work. They give me a lot of energy. They really help. They make me laugh a lot of the time. And so really having that sense of connectedness and being open, I think that's a critical piece to this. It's being open that someone else has something to offer you that you might not expect. And it's that openness and that willingness to be vulnerable is really what makes for a meaningful and lasting friendship.
Yeah, and talk about the difference if you're an introvert or an extrovert, how friendships are going to work for you. Because you kind of have to know, you might be feeling like, oh gosh, why do I want to go out all the time? Why do I want to go to these big concerts? Why? And then you realize you might be someone like me or Mel Robbins, who says you also need your time under the covers.
Right. And it, I think a lot of times that any process like this takes a level of introspection, right? It's knowing yourself, knowing what you need, right? I know that I'm a social person. I like to know a few days in advance that I have plans for the weekend, because I know that's what I look forward to. I know that about myself. And then I act on it, right? If you know that you're more introverted, or what a lot of people are now, is the ambivert, like you like some socialization, but you also like your alone time too. So it's knowing what works best for you. But even if someone's an introvert, even introverts need to have connections outside of themselves. They just need to find that alone time to fuel their energy so that they can tolerate the social time. Us extroverts, we have the social time, and that's what feeds our energy so we can tolerate the alone times. But it's knowing yourself and knowing what works best for you.
Yeah. And they'll say sometimes, I know Oprah and Gayle King have talked about this. Oprah would rather be at like a small dinner party where, a pure extrovert might be fine being at a big party. So, just knowing how you want to connect and being intentional. And I think as we come a little bit more to the end of this show, what you're saying in general, what I'm taking away is, you do have to be intentional as an adult. What kind of person do you want to be with? It's not just the friends that were in your playgroup growing up, or in your class, or on your dorm room floor. Who do you want to be friends with? What are their values? You could sort of look at this as an opportunity of what kind of friendships do I want to create in the second half of my life?
Yeah, I think that's a really important part of this, because I actually have very distinct memories of different phases of my life, meeting someone and thinking, I actually really want to be friends with this person. And then taking the steps and making the effort to pursue a connection to that person. And again, it tended to be that we were in proximity, that we had the timing, and that we had the energy, or I felt like we had the energy and I just felt like we needed to spend more time together. But that's okay. I mean, it's like saying, oh, this person's really interesting to me. I'd like to pursue a connection to them. And again, you don't have to be so obvious about it. You can say, hey, I'm going to this book reading. Do you want to go with me? Right. And inviting someone to do something. So that's the vulnerability part. It's making that effort and taking those risks. And if you continue to ask someone and they keep saying no, well, I guess they're not interested. You're going to need to sort of look to other greener pastures. But it is so important for us as adults to, yes, have a nice relationship with a partner or spouse, but also to diversify a little bit of our surroundings and have other connections, other people that fill our emotional bucket.
And also, because we're being intentional about who we want to be friends with, you might also be intentional with who you don't want to be friends with. We've seen this happen with different values. Sadly, sometimes different politics, which hopefully you can just be friends with people regardless of their politics, but it could result in completely different life views, maybe. So there are people as adults deciding this is no longer good for me. And what you're saying is that's okay. So how do we let a friendship go? Or if we're on the receiving end, how do we accept that?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that takes a level of introspection to say, actually, this person is, my time with this person doesn't really make me feel good about myself or about my life. And so, maybe I won't accept their next invitation, or maybe, I will sort of just kind of emotionally pull back. You don't have to do like a breakup, like to say to this person, I really don't want to spend time with you. But sometimes let the natural process of like not making the effort or letting things fall away. And that's one of the things that she talks about in this let them theory. It's not personalizing it. So if you're on the other end of it, like, boy, I thought I tried to connect with this person, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. It's not that there's something wrong with you. It's just that, again, the timing's off or the energy's off. And so don't personalize it. There must be something wrong with me, and just realize that the connection is just not there, and just sort of let it go, right? And, I don't have control over whether or not this person accepts my invitations. Then let them say no to my invitations. And then I know how to better manage myself and my energy. And I'm going to invest in people who do reciprocate and do make me feel better about myself.
Yeah, the reciprocation is important. If no one's reciprocating, if no one's asking you again, if you feel like you're putting in all the effort, it's probably an indication it's not a great friendship.
Right. There's a significant imbalance. And in a friendship that has a good foundation, there are times where one person or the other goes through some significant life changes and they need to take some space, but there's enough of a foundation there that you can come back to it. It's like you said, right? When I'm with my college friends, the foundation's there. I could not see them or not talk to them for several months, and when we get together, it's as if no time has passed, because the foundation's already been laid in that relationship.
Okay. Well, we're here with Dr. Laura Saunders, who's always has so much wisdom. So we appreciate you letting us know how important it is that we have adult friendships and how they might be different than our kids' friendships that we're watching. Hopefully they're not as dramatic as teenage relationships. That can be the nice thing about getting older, I hope. So Dr. Laura Saunders with Hartford Healthcare, you can follow her on Instagram. You can also watch lots of episodes on CURES. She's here just about every Wednesday giving us our free therapy. So thank you so much for being with us, Doc.
Thank you, Kara.
All right, everyone, have a great day and be well. If you're enjoying the CURES podcast, please like it and leave a review on whatever platform you're watching, or if it's on WFSB+. Thanks for being here. It's always streaming for free. Have a great day and be well.
CURES is sponsored by Wheeler Health's Better Choice program. More at wheelerhealth.org.